Hey guys, welcome to this week's review of The Real Housewives of Potomac. Whoa. So, did you guys watch Alex Salter TV? He's a YouTuber. He did an interview with Chris Bassett. It was a good watch. I didn't watch all 4 hours now, but I did watch a good chunk, right? And it was interesting, right? If you want to get a little bit more background tea on the season and the relationship between the ladies, I would suggest giving it a watch. One interesting point that Chris Bassett made, first off, I'll say this. I do, and I still feel this way, I feel like Chris was kind of throwing Candace under the bus a little bit, right? By the way he was kind of kissing Ashley's ass. I'm sorry, he kind of was. But his sort of logic and what he was trying to tell Candace is, look, these ladies are using you for a storyline because they know that they don't have to do too much. If they poke at you just a little bit, you are going to give them a huge reaction, right? And they know it's going to be a big thing and it's going to go on for a couple of episodes. Because we know how these shows work. It's about the drama. And if you're smart, you don't want too much of your own tea being exposed, right? You don't want your relationship being exposed. So one of the easy ways to guarantee that you have a spot next season is to have beef with the other ladies, right? So if you know that all I have to do is make a little comment to this person and they're going to blow up at me and they're going to cause a big scene, and then on top of that, they're going to look like the crazy one and they're going to look like the bad guy, then hey, that's the direction I'm going to go in. And so that's what Chris has been trying to tell Candace, and according to him, he says that Candace is finally starting to get that now. So I would be interested to see, because we all know that Candace is coming back for next season. So I would be interested to see if Candace's behavior changes. And it has changed from her first season to where she is at now. I definitely seen growth in her. I do. And I do like Candace, right? I don't want her to change who she is, but she needs to learn how to kind of bring it down just a tad bit. You can respond, but you don't need to be at 100. Maybe give us 75%, you know? Anywho, let's get on to the review of the show. So I gotta say this. I must admit, at the beginning of this season, I was a little bit hard on Wendy. I was. When it came to her attire, in my personal opinion, keyword opinion, I felt she was doing just a little too much with her fashions, right? And she was kind of, throwing her enhancements, okay, in our faces. And it was just a little too much. But now I feel like she's at a space where she's kind of settled into her work and she's owning it. And for the last couple of episodes, she has looked absolutely gorgeous. That orange skirt that she was wearing, right, with the white blouse looked absolutely amazing on her. You know, the outfit she wore to the crab boil. She looked absolutely stunning. And you know what? It is understandable because I think if you're it takes time, right? Because you're used to seeing your body a certain way for so long. And if you were to change that, I could totally understand that you may have a period where you wanna show it off. You want to flaunt it. So I'm sorry, Wendy, if I was a little too hard on you, but I think she's mastering it now. And she's definitely giving us the fashions. And her, Candace, and Escala are giving us fashions. Because we know we're not really getting fashions from Robin like that. And we're not getting fashions from Ashley. And Giselle, Giselle will give us fashions. Now, we may not like what she brings, but at times I do feel like she tries to give us something, and I can appreciate that. Like, she has her own taste. People want to say that she's the worst dressed, but Ashley is 100,000% the worst dressed on the cast, which is okay for me personally. Like, I don't mind seeing fashions. Okay, it's like icing on the cake, but if we have several ladies on the cast that gives us fashions, we don't need to get it from everybody. Not everybody has to be that girl, right? Just like for me personally, not every housewife has to be super rich for me to like find them entertaining or being interesting, for them to be interesting. It's more about their character to me and how it works on the show. Like, that other stuff is icing on the cake. That's bonus. So Wendy, kudos to you. And even Karen, Karen is pretty good. I was going to say Karen is a hit or a miss, but Karen is not. Karen is definitely consistent. And I will say that Karen's body looked absolutely amazing in that blue number that she was wearing. She looks great. And isn't she, I don't want to say she's in her late 50s. I don't want to misage Karen, but whatever age she is, she looks amazing. So let me just say that. So moving back on Wendy and Eddie. And I also want to say Wendy and Eddie, they're a very handsome couple. They look great together, and I love their chemistry. And I'm really glad that we're seeing more of him, and we're seeing more of their dynamic. And I said before, I really love this trip, and I really like when the husbands are around, right? Because it just adds another layer to the show. So kudos. And can you believe that the season finale is next week? I swear Real Housewives of Potomac just started. Because that's crazy to me. Like, Beverly Hills went on forever to me, and then Real Housewives of Potomac went away like that. I feel like I could tolerate 2 more episodes of Potomac, so I'm kind of surprised that it's done that quickly. But back to Wendy and Eddie. Messy Ashley, of course, which is fine because they were sort of talking about family. Messy Ashley asked Eddie, are you talking to your mom? Because we all know that Eddie's mom is not talking to him because he married Wendy, which absolutely makes no sense to me. Do we know the full story on that? Like, I'm still waiting as to why Eddie's mom is not talking to him. Now, I think Wendy sort of alluded to it last season that Eddie's mom didn't like her mom, which is fine. I get that happens, but is that an excuse not to talk to your grandchildren, right? I can even tolerate, no, I can't really tolerate it because that's completely immature to me, but I could understand if Eddie's mom didn't like Wendy or didn't want to talk to Wendy. But for you not to talk to your own grandchildren is pretty effed up in my books, right? And it's not just Eddie's mom, it's his whole family. So I'm kind of curious as to what happened. It's really sad. But if I'm going to be real, like, if your family is going to cut you off because you married someone that they don't like, and you can't give us any sort of clear-cut reasoning as to what Wendy did or what her mom did. Like, if they actually did something like slapped your mom in the face, or I don't know. I don't know what Wendy would have had to do. But if they actually did something, okay, fine. But for them not to really have done too much and for you not to talk to them, you must have not had... Like, Eddie must have not had a tight-knit relationship with his family to begin with, right? I feel like their relationship was probably not healthy in the first place. So as sad as it is, on the flip side, it's probably not that great of a loss. I'm sorry. It's probably not, and he's probably better off because that seems just a little bit toxic to me, where you have to do everything your parents say, and if you go against them just once, they disown you. You know, they're probably not worth having or engaging with anyways. And you know, Eddie, and Eddie has a new family now, right? And Eddie and Wendy, they seem great together. They have 3 beautiful children. So he gets to start his own family and live his own life. And reflecting on that, I can now sort of see more why Wendy would get so upset with the rumors, right? Because listen, if Eddie F's this up with Wendy, he's out in the cold. He's out on his own. So he has risked a lot to be in this relationship. So I understand now why Wendy was so pissed with Giselle and Robin and G and Ashley. This is the thing with G and Ashley. They're both jerks. I'm sorry. They're both obnoxious jerks. So it's hard for me to really pick a side on this argument, right? I think if G wasn't being such a creeper this entire trip, and this was like his only incident, I would be like, Ashley, okay, you're doing a little too much. But G has been doing entirely too much this entire trip. And the other ladies and husbands, I feel like, have given him a lot of grace and have been very patient with him. I feel like G has not so subtly, in my opinion, been hitting on Eddie, right? Between stroking his air penis, okay, and humping it and doing whatever. And I don't know. I feel like he's trying to send Eddie a message. And I don't know. Is it just me? But that's what I got, right? From him sticking his tongue out and waggling it all around for Karen. I mean, he's been doing entirely too much. So when he kind of picked at Ashley when she was sleeping, it was in theme. It was, right? But if I'm going to isolate it, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. But to be fair, I think she cussed him out. And listen, she had every right to cuss him out in that moment, to say, yo, G, can you just leave me alone? I want to sleep, right? Whatever, she has that right. And I think the reason why Ashley reacted in that way, because like me, she's been watching him and she was annoyed. So you know how it is when someone is like getting on your nerves. They could do the tiniest thing and that will set you off. So we go to the crab boil now. And, you know, G is like, I'm going to eat inside. I don't feel comfortable here. I'm going to go. You sit with your friends. I'm going to eat inside. So G was kind of extending it, right? And it's like, listen, if you're going to be an asshole, then at least own it. You got to know that you're being obnoxious right now in the moment, right? So for you to kind of, I don't want to say sulk, but low-key sulk after, right? And want to isolate yourself because you feel hurt that she cussed you out because you're being annoying, because you were. I mean, I'm not really feeling for you. And then when you come back out and you want to make jokes and you're still bringing it up, it's like you're trying to egg on a confrontation right now. And listen, when I saw the clip or the preview for next season and Ashley was like, what, do you have Alzheimer's? I was like, oh, Ashley, how could you? You know, you're married to Michael Darby. How could you say something like that? But when I saw the whole scene play out, I mean, I don't think she was trying to diss him because he's old. I think it was just a response because he was pretending that rewind that back. He was pretending like he didn't know what she was talking about. So she was like, what, do you have amnesia? Do you have Alzheimer's? Right? I think she's just said it within the context of what was going on. I don't think that was a diss because he was old. And I definitely think Mia overreacted. Sorry. She did. But I'm not gonna say I'm not here for it just a little, because Ashley is also obnoxious. Like I said before, Ashley does do a lot of dirt, so I did kind of enjoy her getting checked a little bit. But I'm sorry, I don't think Ashley said anything too crazy, right? And his apology was stupid. And I agree with Ashley, like, don't apologize then. You can't just be like, I'm sorry, but I don't take back what I did. Then how is that an apology? Really, that's not really apology. If you don't see anything wrong with what you said and you're not going to change it, then why are you saying sorry? Just don't say it. That's fine. It's not that big a deal. You made fun of her because she was sleeping. She said, "Shut up, G, leave me alone," and that's what it was. It doesn't need to be a big deal. Let's move on. Karen, what the hell was that? I'm gonna do a PSA here. Guys, do not put living things in a box. Okay? Don't do it. It's not going to work out for you. And you know what? The thing with butterflies, they look beautiful when they're flying in the air, when they're in nature. They look creepy up close, okay? And they look creepy in a box. Why? We all saw that coming, right? We all did. But Karen, she's a prankster, I guess. I don't know. Gotta love her. But lay off the animal cruelty, okay, Karen? Thank you. Don't use animals for a prop, okay, for your invitations. Not a good idea. So after Mia and G came back from the couples trip, I believe it was their anniversary, so they went out for dinner. And during this whole time, Mia's mom was watching the kids, right? And they end up getting in a tiff because during their anniversary dinner, Mia's mom kept calling, saying, "I don't know what to feed the kids," and da. And G was annoyed, and they had their back and forth moment. And it seems like Mia's mom sort of blew up at them, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this as delicately as possible. When I first heard that Mia's mom would be watching her children, I was kind of taken aback by it, because according to the show, but you never know with these reality shows, the way they chop and edit things, right? But according to the show, Mia just sort of started to get in contact with her mom. Like they were just starting to rebuild their relationship, right? So I found it quite kind of odd that she would trust her mom with her kids so soon into that, right? And I know on paper it makes sense, because it's like, yeah, that's my mom. Why wouldn't I trust her to watch my children? Those are her grandchildren. Like, what's the issue? In a perfect world, that would be the case, but clearly it is not, right? And I think she should have took things a little bit slower than that and see how her mom interacted with the children first. And going on a trip, I mean, they must have been away for 2 days at most, right? It's one thing to have someone watch your children for a couple of hours, but for 2 days, I think then you're sort of pushing it a little bit, right? And if her mom struggles with addiction, and maybe, who knows, maybe she gets worked up easily. Maybe she gets a bit anxious. I think going on 2 days was probably a little too much for her, right? And she was freaking out. So I think it's just one of those situations. Yeah, her mom handled it poorly, but I don't want to see this sabotage the rebuilding of the relationship. I hope they can take this and learn from it. And okay, next time we'll have my mom with the kids for just a couple of hours, but extending that beyond 24 hours is pushing it for her. It just is what it is. I think the mom should have just straight up say, listen, this is too much. Can you come and get your kids? I'm over this shit. You know, a little bit more nicer, right? Instead of blowing up. And Mia, instead of taking it as, oh, my mom doesn't care about me, or my mom doesn't love me because she doesn't want to watch my children, Mia just has to accept that that's where they're at and that's where it is, right? And not take it too personally, and work with what you got at this point. It's sad. I hope that this situation didn't take them 10 steps back, but moving forward, maybe take things a little bit slower. Moving on, you know what? It's quite interesting to compare the way Giselle and her daughters are and the way they communicate versus Wendy and her mom. It's like polar opposites to me. Because you can see with Giselle's daughters, okay, I'm sorry, I feel like they're just a little too mean to their mother. Like, they just are, they're mean. Like, really? You're gonna call your mom a vampire? You know, is it, okay. But, I do like that they can be open and honest with their mom, and they can say how they feel, right? And they can say, we don't feel like you're emotionally available. You and dad didn't set the greatest examples on how to have a healthy relationship. And I think a lot of people, including myself, can relate to that. Not all of us come from perfect, happy, and healthy two-parent homes, right? So as we get older and we go on to have our own relationships, some of the things we're learning for the first time, we don't know what, we're so used to dysfunction, and that's the norm, that we don't know what healthy looks like. And we may end up repeating some of the same things, even though that may not be our intention, but we have nothing to compare it to, right? So I think I'm really happy to see that they can be honest about that, and they can speak about, like, well, we don't know, right? Because what that does, it gives Giselle the opportunity to work on it. It gives Giselle the opportunity to figure it out and be like, you know what? My daughters are saying they need this from me, that they're not getting this. I need to figure out how to be more open and emotionally available, and not have my walls up so much with them, so that they can see that, hey, it is possible, right? Because no one's life is perfect, and it's not about being perfect or not having anything wrong happen to you. It's when it does, how do you handle the situation? How do you act when you see things in yourself that you realize, okay, maybe I need to take accountability. Maybe I need to make some improvements. Do you do that? Or do you kind of sweep it under the rug and ignore it? Or do you blow up and get angry and say, what are you talking about, girls? That's not true. I'm totally emotionally available, right? She could have done that. She easily could have. But she owned it. And yeah, she may have not been able to model the perfect life for her children, but what she is modeling is how to take accountability. And that's the most important thing, because you can't control everything in your life. You can't control other people. You can't control the weather, so it is what it is. But if you take accountability for your actions, you're ahead of the game, right? And yeah, I really like that they can be open with each other. I really do, because ignoring things and not facing things makes things entirely worse. I was going to say, speaking of worse, Wendy and her mom, I wouldn't say that's worse, but you can see the difference, right? When Giselle's daughters kind of called Giselle out on her behavior, she may have not in that moment agreed with everything that they said, but she was able to listen to them and take it in, right? With Wendy's mom, she just immediately got defensive and said, you're lying, that's not true, I'm leaving. I can't take this. Because Wendy and her mom and her daughter, which was so cute. Like, they were having a photo shoot because Wendy, as we know, she's releasing her candles, which is like $50. $50 for candles, really? Is it just me that thinks that's a little bit expensive? $50 for something that's gonna last you for like a day? Listen, if you have the money, if you have the coins to spend $50 on a candle, please do. None of my business. Moving on. Why am I getting so tongue-tied lately? Well, with Wendy and her mom, Wendy was trying to speak to her with the issues that she had with their relationship, right? And Wendy's mom didn't want to listen at all. Wendy's mom got completely defensive. And Giselle's daughters speak 10 times more harsher than Wendy was. Like, you could tell Wendy was trying to speak very delicately, right? She was very hesitant, and her mom couldn't take it. And then when her mom freaked out and wanted to leave, Wendy was like, I'm sorry, Mom, come back. Never mind. And as a matter of fact, the photographer's like, we're sorry. Everyone was saying sorry to the mom, right? To kind of placate her, to get her to come back. So there's no real resolve there. The relationship will always kind of remain in the same space because Wendy isn't able to resolve any issues that she has with her mom. Because if she contradicts her mom in any way, her mom shuts it down immediately. And so it's pretty sad because it doesn't allow room for any growth, right? It may even allow room for resentment to start to build. So, like, I guess for Wendy is an adult at this point. She's not a child, so there's nothing she can really do. I guess she just has to accept her mom for who she is, and like, yeah, okay, in her earlier life she made some decisions to please her mother, but now she has the opportunity to do what she wants to do, and that's all she can do, is live her life moving forward and learn, like, I shouldn't care so much about what my mom thinks because my mom doesn't even care about my own feelings. Like, she's not even willing to listen to me if I say something that disagrees with her. So you know what? I gotta be that person for myself. I gotta listen to myself and do what I gotta do. Learn from that. And Wendy spoke about doing differently with her own children, that she doesn't raise them the same way. So it is what it is. I feel for Wendy on that situation. I definitely can relate to her, and I think a lot of people can relate to the relationship she has with her mother. And finally, Ashley. Is it just me, or is that whole Ashley and Michael thing totally cringy? Like, I could barely watch. I'm like squinting my eyes. I'm looking away when they were trying to have their romantic dinner. And he kept talking about Juan. And it's like, oh my gosh. So Ashley, she went to a therapist and she was saying that her and Michael haven't really been intimate since she gave birth. And that has been a concern with her because we all know from last season that around the same time when she had Dean, Michael cheated on her, and she doesn't want the same thing to happen again. And it's like, I don't want to wish divorce on anybody, right? I don't want to wish the end of someone's marriage, but at the same time, I just genuinely feel like this is not a great relationship, right? I don't think Michael is really into it. He's not as into it as she is, or at least she's pretending to be for the cameras. We never know, right? So it's like, I'm not really invested in this relationship at all. On one hand, it's like, yeah, it's normal for couples to have intimacy issues and be in spaces where one partner wants it more than the other, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that they're cheating, but this is Michael we're talking about. So I don't really have a lot of good faith when it comes to him. Like, oh my God, like when she was trying to be sexy, and I don't even know what the point of that was. She put a mask on him, and then she didn't even straddle him. She just put her legs on him and they awkwardly kissed, and it was just, I'm not buying it. I'm really not. And then they go in the room pretending that they're gonna have a little moment, and it's like, we know you guys are not gonna have sex right there. I mean, the cameras are there, you have your mics on. Like, who are you guys fooling? This is just totally awkward. Totally awkward. And with him, Juan is a great guy. Juan is amazing. Like, he showed more enthusiasm for Juan and speaking about him than he did for Ashley. He did. Something's going on. Something is going on there. And they need to get to the bottom of this. They really, I need to know what's going on. It's just, I don't even know what to say. That whole scene was terrible. Terrible. But you know what? It's not my marriage, thankfully. If they're happy, then I love it for them. Carry on. But I'm not really buying it. I'm not buying it from the both of them. Something is going on.